Sometimes I end up having to use, that doesn't sound right to me. I end up having to use my skills, my knowledge, my experience that I was able to pick up in my time as a little conservative chud boy in my youth as a bit of a tool to give me a leg up on understanding the right and their propaganda, while I do my whole political left tube thing. It helps me out a lot, because I know how these people think. I know why they say the things they do. I know exactly what idea they're trying to lead people to with their weird, vague gesturing at certain positions, right? Like, I know what they're trying to say, I know what they're trying to do, and I know who they're trying to radicalize, and I know on what basis, on what issues, and on what feelings they are trying to radicalize. And because of that, I oftentimes pull from that skill set, from that knowledge set, and, harken back to old stories, old issues, old political controversies from back when I was younger, and how people fell for it, how people reacted to it, and how that might apply or have an effect, on what's being discussed today. And that's going to be happening again in this video, because God help me, a discourse that I'd hoped died 5 years ago, back in 2017, has come crawling back with maggots and earthworms and bacteria and mold covering it out of the grave to spite me, okay? One of the most obnoxious and frustrating discourses the left has ever had the gall. And I mean it. I mean the gall, because of all times to engage in this, now is not the time. The gall to get involved in. Okay? I'm just gonna go ahead and play this video. And this is the video that sparked a shit ton of response videos and controversy back in 2017 during, the hype era of Gamergate and, the right-wing, control that happened after Gamergate. This is the video that caused all of that shit.
Ever shared this? Or this? Nothing like a good reaction gif, right? But you've probably noticed the most popular ones are of black people being dramatic. This is digital blackface. Blackface is when a non-black person uses makeup to blacken up. Minstrel shows depicted black people in all sorts of negative ways. They were mocking, demeaning stereotypes, and they exaggerated black people's facial features and their expressions. And digital blackface is the 21st century version of that. White people using GIFs to perform some kind of exaggerated blackness. And that's not all. Let's talk about white people.
Hey guys, do you want to hear my hot take? Do you want to hear my hot take? There is a little bit of truth to that. It's particularly if you look in edgelord, Discord, Fed. No, listen to me, okay? Don't call me a Fed, listen to me for a second, alright? Bear with me, alright? No, I'm not a Fed, bear with me! Okay. If back when I was a little chudlord, edgelord little lad, okay? I spent a lot of time in very edgy friend groups on Discord, primarily. And if you've ever been in a Discord friend group, you know that a lot of people are sharing around memes and GIFs and whatnot, right? And I will admit, there is an aspect of, a type of white supremacy in those, edgelord spheres centered around, using images, GIFs, or videos of black people doing things in an exaggerated manner as a way to mock them. That does exist. The problem is that, when mainstream outlets try to talk about it, it ends up looking like this, and it just results in this, and ends up being really cringe. I know you guys are memeing and calling me a Fed in chat, but, do you guys, have you not seen this before? Is there, anyone who unironically disagrees with me here? Have you not seen this? You see it on Twitter, too. I feel like I could dig for an example from memory. You're calling the woman in the video a Fed? She might just be reading a teleprompter for all we know. This is a BBC News video.
And that's not all. Let's talk about white people using dark-skinned emojis. This is
okay. The most you can make out of that is that it's weird. If you had a friend who, is white and only ever uses the black emojis, it's what are you doing? Like it is a little weird. Like it is, but it's also not weird enough that this should exist, you know? It's not weird enough that like anybody should waste their breath complaining about it. There's much bigger things on our plate, I feel.
A form of cultural appropriation.
This video is from back in 2017. You're getting a taste of what left-wing media was like back during the right-wing media domination era.
Paying little respect to someone else's culture and using it however you please. So what's wrong with white people posting these GIFs and using these emojis? Well, black people are not here for other people's entertainment. We're not symbols of excessive emotion, and we aren't here to make you look more sassy, more sexy, or more street. We don't want to be seen as having two-dimensional personalities. Let us decide for ourselves how we wish to be perceived. Now,
As you can imagine, she opened herself up there for a bunch of black conservative commentators to respond, "I'm black. Don't act like you speak for me. Black people are not a monolith. You do not speak for us." She really opened herself up to that very much canned response from every black conservative commentator that milked this video back in the day. You better believe it.
Decide for ourselves how we wish to be perceived. Now, I'm not saying you have to be black to post these GIFs, but what I am saying is think about what you're doing. Ask yourself why you're always drawn to that GIF or that emoji. So that's my view, but what do you think?
At least they open it up for conversation at the end. That's nice. Yeah, so basically, that video is bordering on PSYOP. It is bordering on Fed post, if I'm being honest. It resulted in a level of political right-wing propaganda that came off of that video, that was milked out of that video. You can't even imagine. Like, the amount of money the right made off of it, just milking it dry. Whew. Insane. But CNN decided just a few days ago to grace us with this lovely tweet and article attached to it. "Quote unquote, if you're white and you've posted a GIF or meme of a black person to express a strong emotion, you may be guilty of wearing digital blackface," writes John Blake, analysis. I have to check something really fast. The small picture made me think for a minute. We got a whitey. I thought we had a whitey for a minute, but now he's black. All right. Just checking. I had to know. Like, if he ended up being a whitey, like, we could have just slammed the case shut right then and there and not even had to read the article, all right? Like, come on. You gotta know, all right? What's digital blackface and why is it wrong when white people use it? Maybe you shared that viral video of Kimberly Sweet Brown Wilkins telling a reporter that after narrowly escaping an apartment fire, ain't nobody got time for that. Perhaps you posted that meme of supermodel Tyra Banks exploding in anger on America's Next Top Model. I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. Or maybe you've simply posted popular GIFs such as the one of NBA great Michael Jordan crying, or of drag queen RuPaul declaring, "Girl." I did not know RuPaul was black, but okay. If you're black and you've shared such images online, you get a pass. All right, we're in deep PSYOP territory. This is the Fed post. This CNN article is the true Fed post here. But if you're white, you may have inadvertently perpetuated one of the most insidious forms of contemporary racism. You may be wearing digital blackface. I hate to repeat the exact arguments that anti-SJW YouTubers I watched back in the day made, but, like, are there not really more important things to be focusing on? Like, fascism is getting scary popular among Republicans right now, and Republicans have a scary amount of ability to maintain political control despite there being a minority in this country. And you want to, like, give them more ammo by, like, hyper-focusing on one of the weakest points the left has ever had historically when it comes to, like, the culture war, the idea of digital blackface. Not to mention, some of these memes are so ubiquitous that, like, there's nothing black about them, you know? Like, I don't know, like, for example, the Michael Jordan crying one. Like, that one's so ubiquitous. I don't even feel like you can even call that a black meme. Everywhere you look, I see this in meme videos, like in every niche corner of the internet, everywhere, by all groups of people posting it. Like, this image, it's so famous. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't do the whole, like, oh yeah, if you're white you can't post that, you're doing digital blackface thing. Come on. Digital blackface is a practice where white people co-opt online expressions of black imagery, slang, catchphrases, or culture to convey comic relief or express emotions. Oh, it's evolving. They've evolved the definition to include the appropriation of AAVE. These expressions, what one commentator calls racialized reactions, are we really doing the thing where it's like black people respond to things in a certain way? Are we really gonna act? We're really doing the thing where it's like, yeah, black people behave a certain way, and if white people behave that way, they're imitating black people, and that's a problem. Is that because that's how black people act? Is that really is that what we're doing here? This is like a liberal's view of like what it sounds like to be woke. Like, this is a liberal's, like a very, very center liberals perspective on what it is to be woke. Digital blackface involves white people play acting at being black, says Lauren Michael Jackson, an author and cultural critic, in an essay for Teen Vogue. Jackson says the internet thrives on white people laughing at exaggerated displays of blackness, reflecting a tendency among some to see black people as walking hyperbole. Okay, I made the argument that I steelmanned this argument earlier in the video, and I feel like I did it so much better than any of these people whose job it is to make this argument and make it well have. Maybe being a good orator and being decent at putting your thoughts to paper and your thoughts to words is just not as common of a skill or as practice of a skill as I thought, even within groups where it's like people who do it for a living. But like, you'd think people who have to make these ideas palatable for a living would be better at it, right? If you're still not sure how to define digital blackface, Jackson offers a guide. She says it includes displays of emotion stereotyped as excessive, so happy, so sassy, so ghetto, so loud. Our dial is on 10 all the time. Rarely are black characters afforded subtle traits or feelings. Wait, but that's literally playing into it, though. You're doing the thing. So you're accepting that, okay, sure. White supremacist stereotypes relegate black personalities to that of over-exaggerated dial to 10 all the time, whatever. Like, I think that's well described there in the article here. That is true. But if you make it so that those reactions and that behavior is seen culturally exclusively as a black thing, and when white people do it, it is appropriation or digital blackface, then you're just enforcing a literal white supremacist stereotype. It's not like upholding a white supremacist stereotype to live that stereotype, so to say. Like, if that's how you want to be, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. White supremacists just make those stereotypes to try and make people who are scared by those that are different from them, like, freaked out by culture shock. But there's nothing wrong with difference in culture. The fact is, though, that, like, the idea that, like, that is a black thing exclusively and black people ought to be that way, I don't know. It's really weird to me. I don't know. I'm a white boy ranting about this. Am I firing shots in the dark here? Am I speaking out of turn? What do you think, chat? What are your thoughts? White people don't have emotions, actually. That is the stereotype, to be fair. Some may say posting a video of Sweet Brown saying, "Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire," is just for laughs. Why overthink it? Why give people yet another excuse for labeling white people racist for most innocuous behaviors? But critics say digital blackface is wrong because it's a modern-day repacking of minstrel shows, a racist form of entertainment popular in the 19th century. That's when white actors, faces darkened with burnt cork, entertained audiences by playing black characters as bumbling, happy-go-lucky simpletons. That practice continued in the 20th century on hit radio shows such as such as Amos and Andy. Huh. Well, yeah. This does not do a very good job of making this argument. I'm actually going to make the argument that this article wants to make better than they actually could like bring themselves to make it. So I mentioned this earlier when I was in those like cringy ass like edgelord Discord servers with my friends when I was a teenager, like 15, 16, 17 years old. Like, I'm literally pulling from a direct example. One of the images that was very commonly shared around, it was a GIF, was of a black guy who is quite overweight, covered in whipped cream, like opening a soda bottle that was like shook up too much, and it like explodes. Like the soda bottle explodes all over him as he opens it over his face, but he like heavily over exaggerates like the reaction to it. Like he goes flying back like he got shot with a shotgun, right? And this image would be shared around, and the joke of the image, the reason why these edgelord white boys were sharing it around, was to laugh at the over-exaggerated whatever of black people there, I guess, is the idea behind the white supremacist like stereotype of this, I suppose. I don't really get it in hindsight, but they found it funny. And they shared it around and reposted it incessantly because that's what they found hilarious. And what they found funny about it was the idea that a black person would do that, and they were laughing at it. They weren't laughing with it. Like, you could laugh at that and find it funny because, like, person's covered in whipped cream and you know, doing the funny thing. Like, there's nothing wrong with finding that in a vacuum funny, but what they were finding funny was the fact that they were laughing at that person and their race, not with them. Does that make sense to you guys? I'm pulling from a direct example, and I know it's a little bit of a vague one, but a lot of like racist memes tend to be a little bit like obfuscated. I feel like that's what they should have talked about. I feel like if like CNN wanted to do a good job talking about virtual blackface as they're describing it, or at least the issue that they're describing. I don't like the term virtual blackface because it's very cringe, even as a descriptor for what they're describing. But like, they should have done like an op-ed where they researched and used examples of people doing shit like this and using GIFs and images of black people doing things that are over-exaggerated or silly as a way of making fun of black people explicitly, like they did in this example that I brought up. But they didn't do that here. They just basically denigrate white people for using popular GIFs because those GIFs are of black people. And then, like, add reason to it that probably most people using those GIFs didn't even think about. It's not about the GIF being funny, it's the stereotype about the people in the GIF and people laugh, that's racist, all right? Yeah, that's the point of it, right? Okay, let's finish this off with something that's actually a little bit lighthearted and funny. Here's an example of some actual unironic digital blackface, okay? The classic Dean Browning tweet. I'm a black gay guy, and I can personally say that Obama did nothing for me. My life only changed a little bit, and it was for the worse. Everything is so much better under Trump, though. I feel respected, which I never do when Democrats are involved. He forgot to switch out of his, main. He forgot to switch to his alt for pretending to be a lefty. Well, not for pretending to be a lefty, for pretending to be a black person who votes Trump. Remember, guys, a fair amount of the accounts that are just, like, odd on Twitter are probably, like, psyops. And some of them might even be actual elected representatives who are out there on Twitter doing the psyoping. God, our world is insane.